Good evening, everyone. I am Shalom John Shedrack, and together with my partner, Effie, would be the host for today's bootcamp session. I'm just going to give like 5 more minutes for others to join because we're a bit few. So please send the flyers to your colleagues, anyone that is not here, because we're going to be starting at exactly 6:05 p.m. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Law School Mind Preparatory Bootcamp. Just as I introduced myself earlier, I am Shalom John Shedrack, and together with my partner, Effie, would be the host for today's pre-bootcamp session. In today's session, we're going to be having two speakers, Mr. Ifanichukwu Wafo and Ms. Ikana Okim. Two of them are going to be talking to us 40 minutes each, after which we'll have a Q&A session for 10 minutes each. So while they are talking, you can send in your questions in the chat box. After the session, you would ask them and they would answer your various questions. Please do well to get a pen and paper to take notes, to jot down your questions and your concerns. Sit back, relax, pay attention to the very end. Okay, thank you. So our first speaker is Mr. Ifanichukwu Wafo. And I'm just going to go ahead to read his profile while we wait for his arrival to the meeting. Ifanichukwu Emmanuel Wafo is a legal practitioner currently based in Lagos with a first class from the Nigerian Law School, Lagos campus, and a second class upper from Ebonyi State University. He boasts a strong academic background. During his university days, he represented his school in national and international competitions, winning the National Client Counseling Competition, among others. He has worked with Bonajo, Badejo & Co., a full-service litigation firm based in Lekki, where he garnered invaluable experience in litigation. So please join me as I welcome Mr. Ifanichukwu Emmanuel. Please go to the chat box and type welcome as he takes the floor. Please go to the chat box and type welcome. Let me be sure that we are together. Okay. Mr. Ifanichukwu Emmanuel Wafo, please confirm that you can hear me. Mr. Ifanichukwu, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good evening.
All right, good evening. You have the floor now.
Okay. So, good evening, everybody. I'm very, very sorry for coming late. Had a little bit of challenges. I actually traveled, so I just entered River State from Lagos. So I've been trying to settle in. So as not to waste much of our time, I'll just delve right into it. So first of all, it's a pleasure being here. I thank the organizers. I especially thank you for this, Kazu. Thank you very much, man. Thank you for what you are doing. Thank you for all God is using you to do for students everywhere. I thank Pearl for consistently disturbing. I love this. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure. So I'll start first by saying this. Coming from, the background I came from, I heard a lot of things about law school, as I'm sure many of you must have heard about law school. I heard how law school is stressful, how it is extremely difficult. I heard how you are graded with your lowest score, crazy things. And it was a little bit more, should I say, more Herculean for me, because I came from a school where we did not have the, should I say, the best of results at the law school, right? For example, they said before mine, they had just, I think they had about 20 first class or so, and there was nobody from my school. So it was almost looking as if what they were saying is true. But the thing I told myself is that I will not be crippled by fear. You see, law school, just like life, is a journey, right? And eventually you go through that journey and you come. I hope everybody can hear me. Maybe I'm just talking to myself.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, okay. So splendid. So like I said,
I'll mute myself.
law school, law school Law school is a journey, right? And as much as people have said things, right, there are also people that have gone there and excelled very well, right? So excellence is a choice in every facet of life. Even during your university days, right? There are people that say they want to, let me say, make a first class from the university. They had a set goal and they worked towards it, right? That is just how it is in law school. And I was privileged to have had an amazing mentor in Grace Kalu. In fact, anybody that goes through the mind check mentorship, one of the things that is hammered in our head is that bar finance is the easiest exam you're ever going to write. So the choice is now dependent on you to believe it or not, because the source it is coming from went to law school, excelled, broke records. So that means if I believe what she's saying and follow what she's saying, then definitely I can excel and break records, right? So I decided to make that choice. That despite what everybody is saying, people went to law school and they excelled. So that means I can go to law school and I will excel. And God did it for me. I went to law school, I excelled. So for everybody here that's, very soon, those that are in law school currently will be starting next tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, next tomorrow. So very soon it will be your turn to take over. And definitely there will be success stories from those that are currently in law school, right? So very soon it will be your turn. You start now to make that decision of, okay, I want to excel in law school. I can do it. There are people that have gone there and done it. Whatever story that has been said, I am covering my ears and listening to those that have excelled. Because even in university, of course, there are some courses that people say, oh my God, this course is very, very difficult, right? But there are people that in that same course, they excelled. And if you meet them, they will tell you how they excelled. Now, you can try it, and most likely you would excel. In fact, or on a scale of 1 to 10, it would be like a 10 or a 9 that you would excel. That is just how law school is. So the first thing about law school is that I know it's when I got to law school I decided I wanted to make it. Like my mentor said, that Miss Carlo, that is, she decided she wanted to make it from where she was in university. She wrote it down. I was my decision to make it. Now, the first was okay. It's law school. Oh. Sorry, let's say having issues. I'm sorry about that. Is the network having issues? Oh, okay. Sorry, let me try and rectify that.
Mr. Emmanuel, please, are you here? Hi, everyone. Please, let's wait for Mr. Emmanuel. I think he's having difficulties with his network, so he'll be back shortly. But in the meantime, you can still go ahead to send out the flyers to your colleagues that are not here yet. We're just 23 and we are over 200 on that group chat. So send to your colleagues that are not here yet. And also, those that haven't yet joined the WhatsApp community, I'm going to forward the link here and also on our WhatsApp platform. So you can also send it to them. While we wait for Mr. Emmanuel. Mr. Emmanuel will be joining us shortly. So please don't leave, just stay put. All right, I'm going to just making this announcement, and my partner FA would also make it towards the end of the meeting as well. Firstly, like I said earlier, the link to the WhatsApp community will be sent out after the meeting, and also here too in the chat box. So you can also invite your colleagues that are yet to join, because we're going to be having tons of activities, from now till even when law school resumes. And as we know, the presumed date is 27th, except they change the date. So we're going to be having a series of activities that we do not want our colleagues to miss out, and we don't want to miss out as well. So we're going to be sending the link to the WhatsApp community for you to invite your colleagues to join. Secondly, the Nigerian Law School Mind Check has also organized a mentorship program for us. So I'm also going to send the link for for the form, the link that takes you to the form to fill in for those that are interested in the mentorship program. That will also be sent to the WhatsApp community, and you can also share it with your colleagues too, so that they can also benefit as well. Let's also try to make sure that we participate in all these activities that are held by NLS Mind Check. It's for our own benefit as we await law school resumption, as we prepare for the law school journey. Okay, let me confirm if Mr. Emmanuel is... Okay, Mr. Emmanuel is back, so... Mr. Emmanuel, you have the floor. Can you hear me?
Okay, I'm so sorry about that. Please, can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can. You can go ahead.
Okay, please, I'm extremely sorry about that. Okay, so like I said before, your excellence in law school is a choice, right? And you start now by making it. And I must say, you have even taken the first step by coming for this pre-boot camp. I'm not even going to lie. During my time, I also went for a boot camp, you understand, just to prepare myself for it. So make your decision now what you want to get in law school. Okay. And aside that, the next thing very soon there is going to be some outcry among people, and the outcry is usually because of campuses, right? We now have 7 campuses, and many people, they want to go to a particular campus of their choice. For me, during my time, I wanted to be in either Abuja campus or Kano campus, but eventually I was in Lagos campus, and I'm not going to lie, I did not regret it. Despite what people must have said about Lagos campus, I did not regret it. Okay, so the thing is, no matter the campus, just tell yourself that no matter the campus, I'm going to excel. Let me give a bit of context. For my set, the best graduating students came from Yenegua campus, the same Yenegua campus that people were scared of going to. The previous set before mine, I think the best graduating male student was from Abuja campus also. So it is not about the campus. It is about you and the person you are going with. You understand? So it is not about where you land in Yola campus or Abuja. It does not matter. The most important thing is you went there, you have a goal. And as long as you are going with focus, you are going with, and you have mentors that are backing you, you don't have a problem. The campus, God is even telling you that with or without that particular campus, you are going to excel. So I want you to put it at the back of your mind that no matter the campus, you are going to excel. It's your choice to make. So that's as regards campuses. So don't bother about what people are saying about campus. Maybe Lagos is extremely stressful, but they produce the best results, this and that. There are people that have gone to other campuses and they excelled very, very well, had best results. Now, the next thing I'm going to tell you is, I'm pretty sure it must have been said yesterday. Your lectures are extremely important. They are way too important. In fact, one of the things they told us in Lagos campus, and one of the things my mentor also told me, is that with your lectures and nothing else, you are going to pass law school. That's, you are attentive in lectures alone. That without even going back to read again, without putting in an extra effort, your lectures alone, you are going to pass law school. Now, of course, you might not get the best of the results, right? Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. This is the first session. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, so as I was saying, your lectures are extremely important, right? With your lectures alone, you can pass law school. But the thing is, for people like you, for those of you that are here, you are not just going to law school. You are going to law school to give it your shot because you know you have just one trial, just once for you, you're not going back. So you are going to give it your best shot. And one of the things I could, some of the people that are currently writing exams now, that will be writing exams on Tuesday, when I went to see some of them in Lagos campus, I told them that there is nobody that will make a first class and be sad, right? Of course, there are people that when they come to first class, there are those that are saying 2-1 is okay for me. There are those that are saying 2-2 is okay for me. Are you serious? The network is still breaking. I'm very sorry about that. Am I clear now? Hello, can you guys hear me?
You're clear now. Go ahead.
Okay. So as I was saying, there is nobody that will make a first class and the person will not be happy. Of course, there are those that, even those that say they want to make a 2-2. Like, for example, in my room in Lagos campus, we are 6 in the room. And I was the only person that said I wanted to make a first class, right? Those other people, my other roommates, that is, they said 2-1, 2-2. But even those that, and eventually I was the only one that made a first class. But eventually, if they had made a first class, they will not be sad that, oh, why did I make a first class? You get? But there are some people that if they get a 2-1, they will be sad. So why don't you just give law school your best shot and you know that you are done with it? And then you tell yourself, if I'm given another opportunity, there is nothing I would have done differently. And it all starts now by starting to make that preparation. Make sure that, how do I put this? Make sure that you are motivated to attend lectures and to listen attentively, right? Even if there are lecturers that you might end up not enjoying their classes. I'll give examples. In Lagos campus, there were some lecturers that their classes was, what was the word? Boring. And there are those that their classes was really enjoyable. In fact, you don't want the class to end. But the truth is that you would write the exams for both those that their lectures, you feel their lectures are boring, and those that are not. So me, for example, one of the things I did was, at some point, if it feels like people are complaining too much, and maybe those I'm sitting with, they are feeling like, I cannot continue. What I usually do is I try and look around the hall where we have our lectures. I must definitely see somebody that is trying to pay attention, and that is the only motivation I need. And immediately I continue. The reason is because I'm guided by that goal I said I want. I want a first class. So things that I do reflects around it. And of course, I had extracurricular activities. I was actively involved in 2 fellowships. I was a chorister in both of them. I was an executive in class fund whilst in law school. I was part of those that planned the very first Excellence Summit that held in Lagos campus. I was actively part of the planning. But I did not view those period as a time wasted, because of course, every time with God is time invested. So I always knew that, okay, as much as I'm also giving my time to God, definitely God is there to back me up. Because hello? Okay. Because as some people will tell you, law school is to a large extent more spiritual than physical, right? Law school is definitely way more spiritual than physical. And another thing I just want to tell you guys is have a mentor. Another thing I want to tell you people is have a mentor. Have someone that you can reach out to. Like I said, during my time, I had mentors, right? Though I would say the NLS mind check was like the most consistent, because in fact, before the mentorship for NLS mind check started, we are always receiving our Monday motivations from those that have excelled in law school. You see how they'll ask them questions, almost like an interview section. They'll ask them questions, ask some of the challenges that I feel I'm going through. These people that made first class, they also went through it and they excelled. So when I was going through those stories, I was like, okay, definitely I can do it. So I had mentors. And my mentors was carefully selected. I chose mentors that they had excellent results and they held God tight, because I did not just want to make a first class. I wanted to make a first class in a way that I will make a first class and I'm actively serving God while doing it. You get? And so I looked at those that I've seen that have accomplished it, and I went with them. So make sure that you have mentors during your law school journey, those that can hold you. And in law school, definitely, when people start, they'll definitely tell you guys about the importance of draftings and past questions. Well, at that time, I guess most likely maybe there'll be another session with another person for you people to hear in depth about that. But you have to pick your draftings, your past questions. It's just like the university, but I'll say in your university, you are graded from your 100 level to your final year, and eventually your CGPA determines your results, right? But in law school, it goes in one straight session, and you only make it first class by getting 5 A's, and it is doable. It is very, very doable. In fact, one of the things that helped me, I remember when we had to learn charges in criminal litigation, and I traveled to the East for my mom's wake on a Saturday. The wake was on a Sunday, and then we had charges on a Monday. And one thing we've always known is that charges is a compulsory question in criminal litigation. And if you miss the lecture, as much as you can meet your fellow students to help you out and all, but nothing beats hearing directly from the lecturer's mouth, right? Nothing beats hearing the way they explain it, because they've been doing this for years, so they know how best to communicate it. So I had to leave the East that Sunday, entered night bus, and I was coming straight back to Lagos because I could not miss that lecture. And I'm very glad I did not, because even people that were in that, some of the people that were in that lecture, it was a little bit confusing for them. And in fact, we kept asking questions about charges, right? So make sure that you always attend your lectures. Make sure that you are making notes in class. And please, let me just also say this: do what works best for you. I will not be one to tell you how to read, right? But let me tell you some of the things I incorporated, and then maybe when some other speakers, when they talk, you know yourself, you know what works best for you. When I came to law school initially, and I think I'll be ending with this. When I came to law school initially, I'm always one that makes notes before lectures, right? And then when I make the notes, I go for lectures. After lectures, I'm still making notes from what is being taught, and then I read. That was basically what I did whilst I was in the university. And I was doing that. And I discovered that it was taking a lot of time. One of the reasons is because law school, the bulk of the work, like the work is bulky. You have a lot to do within 20 weeks. You have a lot to cover, right? And as much as the exams are usually are not as difficult as people make it out to be, but the bulk of the work is because of what you have to learn is plenty. That's why many people are usually scared of law school, right? But for me, so when I started making those notes, I discovered that it was taking so much of my time, and I was always someone that believed that if I don't make notes, I will not be able to read, or I will not be able to understand very well. Then I attended one of the sessions with the mentor, and she said, "You are the one that is telling yourself that without making notes, be able to read. You are the one that convinced yourself of that." And so I decided, okay, let me try reading without making notes. So that period that I usually used to make my notes before going for lectures, because lecture starts by 9, I leave my room by 7, and I go to read 8, 9, and then I attend lectures, right? So I decided to read. I'll go early by 7, and then I'll read till time for lectures. That's what we have to learn that day. I'll read it. And when it is being taught in class, as I'm making my notes in class from what is being taught, because what you are being taught in class is basically they will not ask you questions. They will not ask you questions outside what is being taught. What they teach you. You have your course outline for almost every week. So whenever I read and then I go to class and they are teaching, I discovered that, okay, yes, I can remember. And after lectures, I eat, of course, and then I read. I go back to go and read till like 9 or 10, and then I go back to my room. So that was basically what I was. I decided to stop making notes, and I discovered that yes, I was still understanding very well, and I stopped making notes. That does not mean that there are those that did not make notes. One of my very good friends, she was the second best in professional ethics. She made notes, and she stuck with it, and it's also worked for her, right? So do what works best for you. And then finally, eat well, read well, sleep well, and please pray very, very well. Eat well, because people fainted and people are fainting in law school. In my set, during our mock exams, somebody fainted. And if you faint during your exams, the highest in law school would do is take you to an ambulance. They will resuscitate you, but the exam is done and dusted. So eat well. Please sleep well. Like I said, in my room, I was the only person I wanted to make a first class, right? So I knew when to leave the room. I knew when to leave frivolous discussions, like when they are discussing football. As much as I love football, I knew when to leave the room to go and read, because I knew my focus. And then I knew when to come back and rest, because definitely you need the rest. And if you are eating well and sleeping well and you start on time, and of course you are praying well, then when it gets close to bar finals, what you'll be doing is revision. In fact, when the mentor told us before our own exams that she went through the entire 20 weeks, I think within one night or so, that was like her revision. I was like, how is that even possible? But I knew that when it was my turn, like when I had been reading, following what I've been told to go through it during my law school journey, when I was doing my revision, that was how I was flipping. I was, okay, yeah, I know this. Okay, yeah, I know this. So stuffs like that. So that is the little I can say. If there are any questions, I guess I will take that. But aside from that, thank you very, very much for the time. I think that will be all from me. Thank you very much.
Okay, everyone, I can't see anybody's question yet. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel Ifani Chukwuwa, for it was a very enlightening session. And personally, I took down notes here, so many guidelines that I know would help me in the law school. So we're going to be having 10 minutes Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please send it in the chat room. Now, we only have 10 minutes for that before the next speaker takes the floor. I'm very sure that we learned a lot. So if you have any question for Mr. Emmanuel, please send it to the chat box. I'm only seeing 3 people saying thank you to Mr. Emmanuel. Is it that we didn't learn anything? Please, let's appreciate Mr. Emmanuel. Just say thank you in the chat room if you know you learned something this evening from him. Okay, I can only see 4, 5. We're coming up. I mean, we are 20, we're 30 here. So I expect to see 30 thank yous. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel. I personally learned a lot. And funny how all these things you said were the routines I adopted when I was in university, but still, I don't know. truthfully, I did not still meet up to what I wanted. So I hope and pray that I'll adopt the same method or better and get the desired grade I want to get in law school. So I'm still expecting questions. If you don't have, you can also say, okay, there's one. All right. Okay, Mr. Emmanuel, Fatoye Isaac Temidayo has a question for you. He said, I came across some soft copies of law school notes. Is it advisable to start reading now? That's the first question. But Babatunde Olubimi, I can see your question. I'll ask that after the first one has been answered. So, Mr. Emmanuel, you have the floor. Mr. Emmanuel, can you hear me? Okay, please, you all should just stay put. He's actually here. Let me reach out to him. Maybe he's still having network problems. You can keep sending in your questions in the meantime. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. And thank you everybody. Okay. So if it is advisable to start reading now, for me, well, for me, I'm saying no. My reason is this. First of all, you don't know who made those soft copies, right? And laws are changing. In fact, for example, during my time, okay, there is this well-regarded law school soft copy material, Condi Smith, right? In fact, if those in law school, if you have friends in law school, which I believe all of you do have, you must have heard of Condi Smith, right? He went to Lagos campus, and in fact, before I got to law school, some of those soft copies were sent to me. But the thing is, why I did not start using them until I got to law school was because when I got to law school, Condi Smith had not even revised his material. And then the laws for criminal litigation had changed. It was no longer the same laws. They were now using the Administration of Criminal Justice Law of both Lagos, Kano, and then the AGJA. But for his material, it was still the CPC, I think CPA or something like that. The same goes with the civil litigation. Civil litigation, the High Court rules have changed. Karma, as at when we were in law school, the laws for karma have changed. Professional ethics, I heard that they've revised our RPC, the rules of professional conduct. It has also changed, right? So one of the trap you might fall into is whilst you are reading, you might end up memorizing some of the things that are no longer the position of the law. So it was actually when I got to law school that I used some Condi Smith materials and I cross-checked them with my class notes to be sure that, yes, and one of the major reasons why I even used Condi Smith as aside other soft copies was because Condi Smith went to Lagos campus and that his soft copy, they were not, they were not things that he read for himself. If I don't know how to say it. There were not things that he maybe notes that he made from maybe reading textbooks or stuff like that. Those are his class notes, the notes he made in class while he was in law school, just that he was typing them and rearranging them. At least that was what we are told, and we confirmed it from when we were in class. So I would say my advice is for now, it will not be advisable for you to do that because you don't know how much laws have changed, but well, you never can tell. So that's my answer to that. Thank you.
All right. Jemilat Akerele is asking, how are the exams in law school conducted? Does it come in theory or objective questions?
Oh, okay, that's quite straightforward. So normally you have your MCQ, that's the multiple choice questions. Multiple choice questions is you always start with it is 100 questions over the five courses that you do in law school, 20 questions each, right? So after you are done, you write all of them. You write the MCQ in one day. They are together in your question paper, and then you are given an OMR sheet which you use to shade your answers, almost just like what's it called, jam. It's just like jam, right? That's just how the MCQ is. 100 questions, you answer in 1 hour. 100 marks, 20 questions per course. And after that, you have your theory for the remaining 5 courses. And it is, you have how many? You have 6 questions to answer 4 in 3 hours. And in those 6 questions, you have 2 compulsory, usually question number 1 and question number.
Mr. Emmanuel. Mr. Emmanuel, you can unmute yourself.
I think I'm. Okay, so sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so sorry about. I'm very, very sorry about that. So, like I said, for the theory, you write each course in a day. So normally they start with either property or criminal, depends, right? So you have 6 questions. You have 2 sections, section A and section B. Section A has 3 questions. Section B has the remaining 3. You have in section A, you have 1 compulsory and 2 optional. Section B, you have 1 compulsory and 2 optional. The compulsory questions have 25 marks. The optional has 15 marks. So your exams has everything, the entire 100 marks. So there are no external marks like in university where you have maybe like you write a quiz and you get some marks. So your exam has the entire marks, your MCQ 20, your theory 80. So and then you write your exams back to back. It runs through the week, maybe Monday to Saturday. That's how the exams are. I believe I've answered the question.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. Jennifer O is asking, my question is, does our reading habits now before law school affect our journey in law school? Because I personally haven't opened my book since I left school. Secondly, she's also asking, is the marking of the exam paper still negative marking?
Reading habits. Honestly, when I left the university, I'm not sure I opened book, to be honest, because I'm done with that phase. I had to breathe. I had to rest. But the truth is, what I would say is this: your reading habits, whatever you used while in the university, you can try it if it works. If it worked for you in the university, you can try it if it worked for you at the law school. The only thing I would say about there's nothing wrong with you saying for the time being, I want to rest, especially for those that maybe you just graduated or something. But you know that when you are starting law school, it's how do I put this? Like a marathon, right? So you have to prepare yourself. In fact, law school you have to be both mentally, emotionally ready because people there are people that cry in law school because of
the stress and the weight of it. And I'm not even going to lie, like at some point it did not get to me. It got to me, and I had well, my brother lives in Lagos, so it was easy for me to go to his house sometime to, you know, just clear my head from law school. And sometimes it is usually during worship programs that I go and clear my head. So your reading habits, what I would just say is, if it works for you in the university and it works for you in law school, stick with it. But if you are trying a pattern and it's looking like it's not really working for you, there is no need saying you must stick with it, maybe because someone said that's what works for them. If it is not working for you, please don't stick with it. And then the second question, please remind me the second question. Sorry.
Is the marking of the exam paper still negative marking?
I don't, like I said, there are many things that people hear before law school. I've never, in fact, I'm pretty sure they don't do negative marking in law school. I'm pretty sure. Unless you mean, are you graded with your lowest score? Then yes, you are graded with your lowest. So if you get maybe 4 A's and 1 B, they are getting like a second class lower, a 2 because they have A, they have B plus, they have B, they have C, stuff like that, right? So, but if it is negative marking, like in the sense of you fail and then they will minus maybe what you got from what you failed, no. I'm pretty sure that law school does not do that. Thank you very much.
Okay, someone is also asking, you said law school is spiritual. Kindly explain.
Okay, life is spiritual, right? Or maybe it's just my Christianity speaking. But how do I put this? You have to, aside from reading your books, right? You also have to pray. Spirituality is your prayer life. That's, in fact, let me just say this straight. I had direction as to where to read for my exam. Like I knew one course that quickly comes to mind is our civil litigation, that many people were scared of, that it is what stopped them from making a first class, right? I got confirmation as to where would come out for some of these courses. That was it for me. In fact, there was a time in class 1 fellowship, one of our members met me and told me that I will receive a revelation as to where would come out in some of the courses. And true to his word, I did. In also while writing the exams, I remember a particular question in MCQ, because every mark counts, right? It was a particular question that I was not sure. I was confusing between 2 options, and I started praying about it, and I received a confirmation even there in the exam hall as to what to answer. So that's basically what I mean. As much as you are reading, also be praying in law school, because you cannot do law school alone without holding on to God. Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, lastly, is MCQ also considered as CA in Nigerian law school? That's the last question.
Yes, that's what I said. MCQ is also, that's continuous assessment, right? MCQ is marks. You get, that's each course. You have 20 marks from your MCQ, 100 questions, but divided into 20 questions for each course, and each of them is 20 marks, and then your theory is 80 marks. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel Ifanichuku. Thank you very much. Okay, so my partner, Miss Efe, would take it up. We'll take it up from here.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I trust that we have been getting value so far. Please, if you can hear me, just say yes in the chat box so I can go ahead. Can anyone hear me? Is my voice clear? Okay, thank you very much. So while I introduce the second speaker, can we kindly just post this link to our colleagues who are not here so they can join? So our second speaker is Ikana Okim. She's an associate at Olaniwa Ajayi LP, where she routinely advises on mergers, acquisitions, and private equity investments. She is an icon of academic excellence and pace setter, having graduated summa cum laude from both the University of Uyo and the Nigerian School. She is also a founding member of the Exceptional Law School Student Corps. Law Student Corps. Where she provides direct mentorship to over 500 law students in Africa to get a well-rounded LLB experience. When Ikana is not advising on transactions, is the line breaking? Is it still breaking? If you can hear me, just say you can
No, it's
hear me.
better. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, as I was saying, when Ikana is not advising on transactions with vast economic impact or advocating against gender-based violence, she's sharpening her Mandarin and encouraging others to be bold, courageous, and to be the light of the world. Our favorite quote is "Impossible is nothing." So please, can we send reactions and comments on the chat box and welcome our second speaker, Miss Ikana Okim. Please, let's welcome her. Let's tell her welcome her and send your reactions. Miss Ikana Okim, please, are you on the call? While we wait for her to join, we remember what my co-host said earlier about our WhatsApp group. We'll send the link to the chat box so you can join, just in case you are not there already. And we'll also send the form link for the mentorship waiting list so you can register just in case.
I'm here already.
Okay, you are very welcome, ma. Please, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, can everyone hear me? So if his voice is breaking, so I just want to be sure it's not my network. Can everyone hear me loud and clear?
We can hear you, ma.
Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, I can see a comment from Isaac that you can hear me. All right, that's fine. So I'll just proceed. Firstly, I'd like to thank the NMC team for putting this together. It's always a privilege to talk to people who are pursuing an academic journey, because having been there myself, I know how difficult it is to be able to navigate these areas and to settle into having personal principles in the first place before you now get on to thrive in those principles. Thank you very much, NMC team. Special thanks to Ms. Grace Carlo. You're doing incredible work with NMC, and I am a beneficiary of it. So yes, thank you very much for this opportunity. So I understand that I'm supposed to speak to NLS aspirants, that is persons who have been given an admission into the Nigerian Law School and who will be starting their journeys maybe sometime this year or next year. And I mean, there's a lot to talk about with regards to the position that you are in your journey, and there's a lot to unlearn. There's a lot to relearn. There's a lot to learn going forward. So the first thing I would like to say, okay, before I move to the first thing I have on my booklet, I'll just say that I will not be saying a lot of things. I'll just say the things I consider important, but I would I don't know. I mean, I should appeal to the NMC team to give me more time to answer questions, because at this time, a lot is going on through your head, and I'd like to address the questions that you would like to ask me. So yeah, back to the first thing I wanted to say is that it doesn't matter what you graduated with from the university. At this point, you have to have what I call selective amnesia. So you have to forget at some point, from this point going forward, what you had in your undergrad level. So by this, I mean that if you made the first class, for some minutes, just forget. I'll tell you when you will need to remember that. But right now, just forget that you have that. It's in your bag, yes, you secured it. But forget that you had a first class, because there are so many people who had first class in undergrad level and did not have first class at law school. I mean, it's not a terrible thing, but I'm sure you do not want that. So you need to forget. If also you had a 2-2 or you had a 2-1 and you're going for a first class in law school, or if you had if you came out with a pass or with third class, or all of that, you also need to forget that you had that, because there are so many people. I mean, there's so many examples I can give right now of people who had 2-1 at the undergrad level and had a first class in law school. There are people, I even know of one person, I'm sure there are more, but I know of one person on on a first basis who had a 2-2 from undergrad level and went to law school and made the first class and even won awards. So I'm just saying all of that to say that you need to have selective amnesia at this point. Recondition your mind and put yourself in a place that makes you a I'm very sorry, my voice is breaking. I just came out of a speaking event. So put yourself in a place where you are like a clean slate, as if you have nothing. Do you want to make the best out of this journey? That's the first thing I'll say. The second thing is to ask questions. It's very good that you're in an event like this. It means that you're very intentional about your journey, and this is like a plus for you. It speaks a lot about you that you're here, maybe in the Zoom meeting or on YouTube watching, wherever you are right now. It shows that you have sense. Let me put it that way, right? It shows that you know what you want. It shows that you are ready to give it your all. So apart from this, while I'm ready to take all your questions, almost all your questions, as long as time will permit in this program, I would also I will implore you to ask further questions from people who have walked this journey before you. Is a wise thing to do, and I believe that you will do that. So the third thing I want to say is rest. You should be resting. For me, when I came out of school, of my undergrad, I did not do anything with law school books. I was not going to go around looking for which law school book I was going. No. When law school resumes, it has resumed. When it has resumed, you will know that it has resumed. So for now, try to rest, try to engage yourself with other things, volunteer somewhere, move towards other directions that are also beneficial to your overall career goals, and do other things. Pray more, spend time to pray, because you need it. You need to make investments for your journey ahead. So rest. Okay, rest. If you're very curious, you're very inquisitive, and you really want to know what law school holds for you and what you would be doing, that's fine if that works for you. I mean, there's no hard and fast rule. I'm just speaking from my experience, and I'm sure that's why I was invited here, because my experience is valuable experience. And so if you are an inquisitive person, that's okay. So you can try to get maybe advice from other people, just have an overall idea of what property law is, what corporate law is, what criminal litigation is, what civil litigation is, what professional ethics entails. You can do all of that. I mean, but try to prioritize rest as much as you can. Okay. So be ready to put in your best. Please be ready to put in your best. So I don't know, if you are not going to law school with your set, and you are maybe an overflow from the last 2 years, who was able to go to law school because of the quota system and all of that, or for other reasons, and then you are admitted into law school, congratulations to you. But just know that you have to wear your academic regalia back. I know that is not easy, but it is not something that cannot be done, because there are people who have worked before you who went to law school much later after they graduated from the university, and they did very well. See, there's something I would like to say before I continue. You're not the first to do any of the things you're going to be doing at the law school. You're not going to be the first. There's somebody somewhere in the world who has had your peculiar experiences, who has served before going to the law school. There's somebody somewhere in the world who did it and who aced it. There's somebody somewhere in the world who graduated with a third class and determined to have a first class at the Nigerian law school. There's somebody somewhere in the world who has done that. So because of the large pool of students every year at the Nigerian law school, just know that there is somebody who has walked that path before you. There must be somebody who has done that. And I'm not even pushing you to go and find that person or go on a wild goose chase. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that never come to a point where you say, oh, it seems like this thing is only me who has experienced it. There's something else I tell people, which I also told people in the last event I just spoke at. People who have worked and aced it, some of them, you are smarter than them. I'm not even saying it in a derogatory way or, that kind of way. I'm just saying that all that makes the difference is hard work. So be ready to put in your best. It makes a difference when you are really committed to what has been put in your hands. So there are people who have done it and they did it and closed the chapter, and they closed it very well in a royal manner. There are people who have done it, they won awards. So you cannot be an exception. You cannot be the exception. Someone at somewhere has had your experiences, right? So what I want to say now is a little bit touchy, but I'm going to give you a different perspective to things. I know some people are looking for money to go to law school. Law school is expensive. That is the reality. I'm not even going to try to water that down. I'm not going to say that, oh, it will not be expensive for you. It is expensive. It's going to require money. From the school fees, you already know that it's going to require money. Try to get money, try to apply for all these grants. But if you cannot, still go ahead and go to law school. Worrying about what you're going to eat and everything, this is where I'm going to bring in my faith, because there is nothing that I have achieved in my life that will say, oh, you can now Kim did this on her own. There are so many things. There's this thing my friend used to say: life is too complicated for you to put all your results or expect all your results by your inputs. It's usually not because of what you've put in. That's why you have a great outcome. Life is too complicated for that. There are so many twists and turns to things, including law school. There's so many people that people just say that, they say jokingly that if you don't know God, when you go to law school, you know God. I dare say that is very true. But right now, from the beginning, I need you to start exercising your faith, even as it has to do with provision. So God is the God who provides. If you don't have money, still go ahead, go to law school. When you come out, you will not even know how you were feeling. You will not even be, you will have a lot of joy on your call to bad day that you will not be thinking about things like that. But by the time you settle and people start calling you the bad, the law, you will not sit down and be like, how did I even see myself through law school? I need you to start exercising your faith from now, regarding money, regarding your feeding and all of that, and provision generally. Just know that God is going to come through for you. I need you also to surround yourself with positive influence. See, law school is, should I say, 90% mind work. At some point, you will understand that it's not just about the substantive knowledge of law that you have. At some point, you will realize that is your mental stability. Is 90% mental work. So for how many weeks now? I think 20 weeks. You're going to be expected to know 100 topics. By the sound of 100, you are supposed to be shivering, but I don't want you to shiver, because like I said, people who you're smarter than have worked the path and they aced it. So 100 topics are supposed to be in your head alongside the cases, alongside the statutory provisions, alongside so many things. Like you're supposed to know lots of things. Drafting and everything is information overload. But guess what? Even when you know something per time, like this week I've mastered everything, this week, next week I've mastered everything, for you to be able to regurgitate the things that you've learned is mental work, is mind work. And this is why it is very important for you to surround yourself with positive influence. One way to do that is to sign up for NMC. But I'm not preaching the gospel of NMC. I'm just telling you what works and what worked for me. So ensure that you are in an environment where you are constantly reminded of your real realities. That's what I like to say, real realities. So the fake realities, they are real, but they are not exactly real. Then there's real reality, the reality that you can hang on to and that you can hold on to in the darkest of days. So this is an encouragement for you to surround yourself with positive influence. So apart from a platform like NMC, that's NLS Mind Check, your friends, one of the things that you need God to help you do is to pick one, your friends, two, your roommates. It's very important. I prayed about my roommates to the extent that I got even the floor that I wanted my room to be. That's how intentional I was. I was literally holding God, like, this is what I want, this is what I don't want. Now is the time. If I was going to be talking to people who have already been, who have resumed the Nigerian law school, this information may be irrelevant to them. But thank God it has come to your table when you are yet to pack your things to the Nigerian law school campuses, your respective campuses. So this is the time for you to hear me and hear me correctly. You can pray about your roommates, you can pray about your room, you can pray about your friends, because those things matter. You will see that they are bright students, very bright students, but who have had issues with their roommates or who have had very bad relationships and friendships in Nigerian law school that just spoiled everything. So I know that you don't want that to be your testimony. That's why I want you to intentionally, while you're asking questions about dress code, about the courses, as inquisitive as you are, you're trying to look for the course materials and everything. Also extend that your curiosity to asking God, who are my roommates? If they are not good, please change them for me. Ask, demand for what you want. Those things are very important. So surround yourself with positive influence. People who always say, oh, this law school is hard. You don't be, I don't die. What's the other thing they used to say? I don't die, you don't be. Mugbeo, I'm in trouble. Yes, people say a lot of things and it sounds like cruise, it sounds like a lot of, vibes and vibe, largest per, Gen Z per. It's not that. This is serious business. This is your career we're talking about. This is Nigerian law school we're talking about. Nigerian law school is not playing with you, even if you are playing. So I'm not trying to make you afraid or anything. I'm not doing that. By now, you should have figured it out that I'm not trying to make you scared. I'm telling you what obtains here. And I'm telling you that your modus operandi will have to change. If you just walked by your undergrad and you succeeded at things and just got away with it, law school is different. It's information overload, like I said, is a tight schedule that you're going to be having. It's going to stretch you. It's, all of that. It's not because you're wicked. It is to make you ready for law practice. The kind of job that I do now is very intense. And if I didn't have that training at the Nigerian law school, maybe I would have been sinking by now. So it's to train you for legal practice. The legal profession is a very noble profession. So you are helping people, you are glad doing it, you are stressed beyond limits, but yet you still keep your head above water, you wear a beautiful smile, you wear your neat white and black. For those who are in litigation practice, you wear your gown, you wear that wig and gown is fine, right? Even though personally I don't like it, but anyway, that doesn't matter. But you wear a very large smile, you post on Facebook. Okay, Facebook is not, that's taking, my parents have taken over Facebook. Okay, you post on Instagram, you post on Twitter, or you post on whichever one that exists, and they're calling you the law, the bar, the bench, and all of those things. You're like, Amy, you like it. You see, you're going to work for these things. It's going to train your inner person. It will give you character. Waking up when you do not want to wake up to read will train you to even become the president of Nigeria. It gives you a solid training. the determination to read something you don't understand, reading it over and over and over again, just so that you can understand it. You are training yourself for United Nations. You are training yourself to be a master of nations. Those people are not just put there, even though it seems like that's what the reality in some African countries. But just know that at the same time, a lot of work goes into being that person, being a person that the rest of the nation relies on. That alone is enough burden. So you have to train yourself for the future. I want to be this, I want to work this, I want to work here, I want to be a US governor, a governor in the US, I want to be a governor in Canada, I want to be influential, I want to do great things. Are you ready to put in the work with what you already have in your hands? What do you have in your hands? There's something I like to say, especially when I'm preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, is that when God was trying to tell Moses that, okay, part the rest now, let these people go, because these people literally depend on you. What did he say? What did he say? What do you have in your hand? Previously, that thing that he had in his hand, that was what God even used to make him a leader of nations. He told him to drop it and he turned to a snake, pick it back up. What do you have? Do you know where he got it from? Moses used to tend sheep. That's where he got that rod that he was carrying up and down. So what do you have in your hands? You have been determined enough to move through undergraduate school, and now you are here. What do you have in your hands? You have your LLB in your hands. Now I'll tell you how, I told you to forget it before. I'll tell you, because when I was saying to forget it, I told you that at some point when I'm talking, I'll tell you when to remember it. Remember it when you need to rely on your past experiences. You know what you did in undergrad level that made you graduate the 2-2. You know that you're always reading 2 weeks to exam. Remember that. So don't drown yourself in that, but remember that this thing you did not work. This lazy lifestyle did not work. Then use it and shape your future. The only reason that we're expected to meditate on the past is so that we can use it to shape our future. Then if you made a first class in your undergrad level, you have good precedent. What did you do in your undergrad level? I'm not even talking about the small things that you did. How did you imagine it? The confidence that you used to aim towards it, apply it in law school. Confidence. You will need to be confident in the things that you're writing, even in the exam hall. You see people who fail back finals, right? Some of them have the same stories. I've been privileged to interact with some of them. I'm calling it a privilege because I see it as, a privilege to be able to hear them out and know what they pass through and everything. They're willing to be open to you. Fear is what really makes people crumble in the exam hall. If you have made the first class before, the time you need to remember it is when you're trying to be afraid or when you're about to be afraid. Remember that it was you that conquered LLB. It is still the same you that this BL has been placed in front of. So you have to summon courage like a warrior and face it. So these are the times that you're allowed to remember. But for every other time, especially if you want to revel in your first class that you think is automatic, that to just reflect your BL, forget it. If you want to drown yourself in the 2-2 or the 2-1 that you got and you thought you really deserved the first class, don't bring that energy to your barrister law certificate. I'm sure I've been able to communicate. And like I said before, I think this is the point that I'm going to take questions because I really cannot cover the ground or cover the field if I'm just talking, from my own end. So I need you to interact with me, talk to me, ask me questions so that I can answer you directly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Miss Ikana. Please, let's tell her thank you and how much we appreciate her. And if you have questions, definitely, I'm very sure that some of us have questions. You can put down your questions in the chat box while we thank Miss Ikana for this value overdose. Thank you very much, Miss Ikana. I'm not seeing anything on chat box, just one person. Okay, 2 people now. We're still waiting for questions. Let's keep the appreciation coming. Okay, we have one question now. More questions, please. What have you been curious about law school? What has been bothering you about law school? This is the time to ask it now. So I think we'll take this first question from Ladepo. She's asking, can you serve God so much at the law school? Miss Ikana, please, did you hear the question? Can you serve God so much at the law school? You're muted. You're muted.
All right. Yeah, I just got unmuted. It wasn't working. So yeah, can you hear me very well?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
All right, thank you very much. So law school, sorry, let me scroll up to where the question is. What was the question again?
Can you serve God so
Can you
much
serve
at the law
God too
school?
much at
Yes.
the law school? It depends on what you even mean by too much. How much is too much? But I'll give you a very sincere advice, and the advice is that you can do anything at the law school. I have people who used to even go to parties once in a while, right? But when it came to church things, they would say, oh, I don't have time for all of that. When you have time to press your phone once in a while, you have time to go for parties once in a while, you have time to even attend the programs unrelated to law once in a while, you will do anything that you consider important. You will do anything that you really want to do. So if you consider God important, you will do it. And apart from service to God, which I highly recommend, your spiritual life in law school is as important as your studies. I will explain that. I earlier explained that law school is mental work here. And being a spiritual person already gives you an advantage in mental work. So God doesn't just work on our spirits, He works on our minds, even more importantly, right? So you need to be in a place where you are constantly reminded of who you are in Christ. You have to be in a place where you are aware when you see something that the devil might have orchestrated, and you identify it and say, this one is not normal. And this one, you attack it with some spiritual strength. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's not, I'm not trying to say that everything that you see that is not working well, or everything that comes up in law school is a spiritual thing. But I'm just saying that you have to be in a place where you're alert to be able to identify things, name them, and if need be, you cast them out. So your spiritual life is very important. Like I would say, I will always share my experience. When I was in law school, I prayed even more than before I entered law school. I had dedicated times of the day that if you're looking for me, you will not find me. If you're trying to talk to me about anything, you will not find me, because I'm trying to pray. And all those things are important. Now, let me even share a testimony. I don't think I've shared it before, but when we're doing all those prayers, by the way, NMC makes available time to pray especially during your exam. So Miss Grace was saying something about you hear a voice behind you telling you that this is the way working it. That was my literal experience with property law. I started writing rubbish already. I canceled the page. I still had Asia, but I canceled an entire page. If I had not canceled it, I probably would not have had an AI. You know what that means? It would have fallen to a B plus or a B, and that would have taken me to second class or a second class lower. I was writing rubbish, but I literally heard a voice behind me and say, stop, oh, what you are doing is not correct. Look at the question again. So I looked at it and saw that I was already moving there. That was the first time. The second time was in criminal litigation. At this point, I don't know, but it was clearer. It was even clearer that, okay, in this one, this is the approach. So when people are looking for some dramatic voices to say, oh, this one is the answer, this and that, like I always say, God will not allow you to be lazy. It's what you have read that's going to work with. So you can get guidance on approach, you can get guidance on so many other things, but it doesn't mean that you should not read. You have to put into the work to read so that God can have something to use to help you. But if you're just there devoting 100% of your time, you are just praying, that's an imbalance that God does not permit. If 100% of the time you are looking for which church to jump to or where to go, and God does not support that, you will have to devote time to your books. At the same time, be willing to serve a God that you love and loves you. So balance is very important. Like I said before, I think I'll end with this. You will do the things that you want to do because you have time to do them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ikana. The second question is from Ruby DK, and they are asking, should there be a template for study patterns? Should there be a template for
Okay, I think I'll need to stay unmuted so that we won't have this issue again. So study patterns. One thing with law school is that it makes you a regimented person. What I mean by that is that you just notice that you have structures around your life. Even if you were very disorganized before, as long as you want to prosper in law school, you will discover that you have structures. So this AM to this AM, I'm doing this, and you will follow it if you're a serious person. So it also comes down to study templates. My study pattern was this. Let me explain it to you. So after the day's lesson, I would read what we studied in class that day. That's the first reading. Second reading, after that, I will not read ahead of what we're supposed to do the next day. So, of course, you even need to prepare for the tasks that will be, dealt with in class the next day. So you actually need to read and be involved in those tasks, right? So I used to have that lifestyle. During externship, I had an actual timetable for covering the syllabus twice. So every day I was reading something. I was reading something every day, weekends inclusive, everything. So I had a well-structured timetable. Sometimes you falter, but just know that the next day you have to make up for what you faltered for. So you would have to, bring that structure to life and read every day. So I covered the syllabus twice during externship. When I came back, I was reading four topics in a day. So the first one would be, I'll take a topic from the front of the course for the day. So I followed the what's it called, Nigerian Law School timetable. So Monday for us, Monday then was for civil criminal litigation, Tuesday was for civil, Wednesday was for corporate, Thursday was for ethics, Friday was for property law. So Monday, when I go back from externship, I will take the first topic from the front and the last topic from the back. That's two. Then what we learned in class that day, and what we are reading in class tomorrow, what we are learning in class tomorrow, that's 4. It got easier. So 4 will sound like a lot, but it got easier because I already covered the syllabus like twice and I was still learning on it, right? So that afforded me the ability to, that system I just introduced now, the ability to have covered the syllabus 3 times before my exam. That is a luxury that a lot of people did not have because they did not have strategy. They were just going by law school. Oh, SHG was over, they didn't even realize they're just going by law school towards the exam. They now want to go and faint. Let me tell you, towards the exam, I was sleeping. When God promised me rest, I thought it was just, I enjoyed so much rest. Like I would wake up from my bed to exam. So you can imagine how fresh your mind is when you go to the exam hall, and I mean, you are very fresh. You don't have, you did not stay up all night because they're not trying to rush things. I'm not saying there'll be a point where you stop reading, no, but there'll be a point where you know that I can tackle questions. That point will come. In fact, there'll be a point where you know that I'm going to make a first class. There's a point like that somewhere, somehow in law school, especially towards the end. So try to read early and get a strategy, get a template. So thank you very much for asking that question. That question is very important. So I can see the questions in the chat box. Should I just take it, or do you want to ask?
Yes, please. I would like to take it because I'm getting some direct questions that I'm very sure is not on the chat box.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes. So this one is public. The person is asking, please, when do you advise those of us that want to join tutorials to start? Do we start immediately or what? From Stella Maris.
Okay. Thank you for the follow-up question. Do you even recommend tutorials for law school? I think that's the question I want to answer. I don't know, because I never had one. I was not. In fact, it was a very infamous thing. Tutorials were very infamous. Law school work is already a lot of work. It takes your time, and you have to also be active in other areas of your life. Tutorials, for me, it was a no-no for me. I wasn't even ready to listen to anybody who was going to tell me about tutorials, and I made the first class. So some of them, I believe I heard from some people that they are teaching, sometimes they teach old laws. When the law school has moved to 2022 law, for example, the tutorials will be teaching 2021. And most of these tutorials are not even organized by people who are qualified, like who should be organizing them. Most of them. Some are organized by people who make sense and stuff like that. But I wasn't even ready to listen. So I'm the wrongest person to ask this question. For me, I did not like it. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you so much for that. The next question is a direct message. The person is asking, how many cases do we have to cite in a question? And do we have to discuss the cases? How many cases do we have to cite in a question?
Okay. How many cases? Okay.
How many cases do we have to cite?
Yeah, I got you. So I'm a law school lecturer, so I do not know the marking and all of that, but I cited as many as I could remember. For some, I cited one. I heard from my lecturers that one is enough, and you don't need to discuss unless it's important. In fact, the general rule is that you do not discuss your cases. You just put, when you state the principle, you put the case there. So maybe if it's extremely important to the question, you can discuss. But throughout my exam, I did not discuss any case. So when I put what I discussed exhaustively was the principle. So if the principle I'm applying to that question will require me to write 5 lines, I will go ahead and write the 5 lines. Then put my case. I will just put dash and put my case, or not see the case, sorry, as in the case of dash. Finish. So generally, you don't need to start doing all those highly academic work. That's undergrad style. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for that. The next question is, was it all about book for you?
Was law school all about book for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Generally speaking, even outside law school, I do a lot of things. Even now, so I do a lot of things. I mean, I've always been in the social impact field. I've always been, at that time, I was still leading Team Nation. So I've always been, in the center of non-for-profit endeavors. I've always been a Jesus girl, I'm doing the work of my father. I've always been multi-talented, multifaceted. I don't think multi-talented is the word I was looking for. Multifaceted, multi-everything. So when I got to law school, while I prioritized law school over maybe my organization that I was leading and everything, I was still involved in them. So by what I mean by priority is that there is a clash. I know what to do. I know that, I have to read. So I'll tell them that, you guys, for your meeting this evening, I may not be around. I have to be in class, or I have to be in my study group or anything. But I was still there. So I mean, you can be anything that you want to be in law school, but your priorities will have to be very clear.
Thank you so much, Ma, for that. The
Next
next
question.
question. Okay, I think you already answered this from the same person. Do you even recommend tutorials? You already answered it. So the next question is from Jennifer
Okay.
Oyi. She's asking, are the libraries open for 24 hours or are there nights and tutorial classes? Also, for the mentorship program here, would we be assigned to mentors or it's a group platform like the... Yes, we are going to be having a mentor. So I guess the real question here is, are the libraries open for 24 hours or are there nights and tutorial classes?
Okay, library is open for 24 hours. I was not a library person. I went to the library only twice throughout. What am I even saying? Library. Do you know, I don't even know what Nigerian Law School library looks like. What I went to twice was the small reading room that was next to the library. That's what I was even calling library. So I'm not a library person. So I did not go to the library. So I don't know whether it's 24 hours or whether it's just after class. You can ask this question. I think they are even campus specific. So you can go to your campus and it's 24 hours. You can go to another campus and it's only when classes are over and they close by 10 or something. I don't know. But for me, I don't think I can speak to that because I wasn't a library person. I was only reading in the library. Yeah, for this tutorial question, the second time is coming up. Maybe I should just mention that apart from me not recommending tutorial classes, what I would recommend in place of that community, because what you're looking for really is a community of people outside the very large class who to whom you can just ask any question, even, and you will not be judged. Like, no matter how stupid in quotes the question is, I think that's what you're looking for. You can have that in your study groups. So there's this study group I belonged to, the First Class League. Right, that's what we called it, the First Class League. Our mission was clear. I mean, from the name, we already know how clear it was for us. We wanted to make first class. Guess how many first class we produced? 5 from my study group. So it still goes to the point of surrounding yourself with positive influence. Do you know that up to like was it 2 weeks before my exam, I did not know the correct draft for Kano State, as in the North, the correct draft for the charge, whether it was a charge or whether it was an information. I thought I knew, but when I went there and they just pointed at me, I was like, oh yeah, you cannot teach us this. Oh yeah, start talking. And I was just saying the rubbish I was saying. They will laugh, of course, but they are your mates. That's why I was talking about community. They are your mates. When they finish laughing, they will correct you now. So when they finished laughing at me, they corrected me, and it was good that it didn't come out in the exam. I mean, for the North, it didn't come out in the exam, but I was so glad that I have that knowledge and I had it before the exam. At least I won't be confused, and it will not corrupt the other things that I was sure about. So yeah, if you're looking for community, create your own or find a group of serious people who have the same goals as you.
Thank you very much, Ma. Please, next question. Can you please talk briefly about the hostels, especially electronics that are allowed and not allowed, from Adebayo Joshua?
Okay, I can only talk about Lagos Law School. There's so many things that were not allowed. Anything that had anything that is not your phone, and was fan even allowed? Anything that is not your phone that you are charging, you cannot plug anything to any socket in Lagos. We had a couple of fire incidents because of that. People were bringing, iron. People were bringing fan. I heard people brought washing machine. Students. All was left was someone to bring generator. That was the only thing that was remaining, but then it caused havoc. So when you go to your campus, ask them things are allowed or not allowed, or you can ask people who you know. By now, you should know people who are currently in law school or who have graduated from law school. And when you're giving your campus, I think you're giving your campus, you've been giving your campuses now, go to those people and ask them what's obtainable in those campuses.
Thank you so much, Ma. The next question is from Jemilat Akirili. She's asking, can you run business with law school?
If you're breaking, I don't know if it's just
From Jemilat, she's
me, but I'm
asking
struggling
if
to
she
hear
can
you.
run. Hello, can you all hear me?
I can't hear you at all.
Hello, is my voice audible now?
Oh, yes, it is. I can hear you now.
Okay. I'm so sorry about that. Jemilat is asking if she can run business with law school.
Okay, Jemilat, I think I have just one answer to that question, and the answer that I have is a question. So, how involved do you want to be in that business? That's what would make me and even you, in your heart of hearts, know whether you can combine it with law school. How involved do you want to be? Is it something that you could just take orders with your phone and then communicate it with somebody? Is it something you can delegate most of the work? If it's not something you can delegate most of the work, or if it's not something that you run within campus, I don't think you should be involved with it. So if you cannot delegate, if you don't have a team of people you can delegate to when things get rough, or if you do not run it within the campus, I do not think it's something that you can really do. So when you start, if you start the business while in law school, even you will know your capacity. When it's becoming overwhelming, you will know. I think you're the greatest judge of that. You will know when it's becoming overwhelming, and you will know when to pause, or you will know when to delegate. Right? That's my answer.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. The next question, the person is asking, please, when are we expecting posting, and how do we say our posting campus?
I wouldn't know the answer to that question.
Okay, thank you. The next question. Also, please, can you explain how one can answer a complicated law school question? For example, the question talks about mortgages and also lease, but the main question is on lease. Do you also talk about mortgage when answering the question?
Oh, the main question is on lease. So the good thing about Nigerian law school questions, your part 2 exam, is that they ask you what they want you to see. So when you're done reading the entire scenario and everything, all the plenty stories, they will still come and ask you, okay, who is the lessor in this? They will ask you direct questions. But in the event that they don't ask you direct questions, look at what is important. Like how you have said now that the main question is on lease, and answer it. If you need to put a line or two about the other thing that you think could be a question, but it's not really at the center of things, then by all means you can just write 1 or 2 lines, but try to be exhaustive but not verbose. So you don't want to overwrite. You want to write just enough, but you don't want to overwrite. Don't worry, when you get there, you'll be able to understand.
Thank you so much, ma. Next question. How do we know what textbooks to get? And would we get a list of them before we resume?
Yeah, Jennifer, the inquisitive people. Okay, for textbooks, I'm also not the person to ask that question because I did not read textbooks. I read my notes, and I always say, I strongly opine that whatever you're taught in class in law school is enough to get you through to whatever grade that you desire, because they will not ask you anything you've not been taught. They will not ask you anything that is not in your notes that you took from class. So personally, I did not do textbook. The only thing that looked like I wanted to start doing textbook was when our lecturer said we should go and read Badmos. I opened Badmos. Badmos was literally what we're being taught in class, and I don't want to mention anyway. Fine, I've already mentioned Badmos, but you don't know the course, so I'm still safe. So that was literally what we're taught in class, and then the main statute that was being used. So for me, I did not see the people used it and it was useful for them, but for me, I didn't see the need. So I just closed it and I didn't open it again. So for me, I didn't use any textbook. It was just what I was taught in class. I always say that it is easy to pass Nigerian law school. It's easy to make your first class and leave. They will not ask you any complicated thing. It's what you so be attentive in class. Read and reread your notes. When I was telling you about covering syllabus, I wasn't using extraneous materials. I was reading my notes. So at some point, where the extraneous material came in was when I was using a popular, let me say it now, Condy Smith, and I used it because of the topics that were not yet taught, and I was even using the very, with a lot of discretion because laws had advanced from what I had. So I was using a lot of discretion. So those topics that were not yet taught when I was during extension, there are so many topics you wouldn't have been taught by then. So I was using Condy Smith to read ahead and to cover syllabus, before we got around those topics. After that, so when I use Condy Smith to read ahead of class, once they've taught that topic, I'm not reading Condy Smith on that topic again. My greatest authority will now become my notes from that class. Right. So for textbooks, nah, I didn't do any of them. But I don't know the textbooks that you get. I don't know how you get a list of them before you resume because I did not use them.
Thank you so much, ma'am. The next question, please, did you always read by yourself or did you have a study group?
Okay, I think I already kind of like answered this question. I read by myself most of the time. So the study group was just on weekends, particularly Saturday. We started with Saturday and Sundays. Then later we moved to just Saturday when things became very difficult to like cope with. So we did Saturday, but on Saturday we used 5 hours. So what we use the 5 hours to do will be everything we've done that week. It wasn't even enough. So we're using, I think at some point we're even using more than 5 hours. We'll come out at 9 and go back by 3. That's how many hours now? That's like 6 hours or so. So at some point, we're doing a lot of intense group study, but every other day I was reading by myself, except the weekends. Yeah.
All right, ma, noted. The next question is from Kelvin. Is asking, did you read to perfection or were there moments where you forgot things, and how did you handle such moments?
Forgetting things and Nigerian law school, like 5 and 6. So at some point you'll be like, so all the things I've been reading, this is passing one side of my head and coming up from the other. But then you have to reassure yourself that you are not a stupid person and that you're not dumb, you are not daft, you know what you're doing. So if you have good precedents from your undergrad, that's what you use to ginger yourself up. If you don't have good precedent, generate something to use to ginger yourself, because there's going to be so many times that you would forget things. But ensure that you're having your bout of forgetfulness before your exam. That's how you should practice. Always practice your drafts, always practice your questions, MCQ, all of that. Forget when you can still forget. Forget when you are allowed to forget. Don't go and forget when you are not allowed to forget. So yeah, there is that. You should practice. When you practice, you forget. After that, you won't forget again. Another way to handle forgetfulness is to repeat. What I mean by that is repeat what you're struggling to understand or what you're struggling to remember. Keep repeating it. Meet someone randomly on the road and talk to them about one principle they are struggling to remember. When things come from you, then you sort of become a master of that thing, right? So talk about it. That's one thing that the group study helped me with. So even though I knew some of the things I was saying already and I did not need to regurgitate, that regurgitation helped me to never forget those things. So even if I want to forget the voice of my lecturer, I cannot forget my own voice. So when you talk about those things, there's one of my mentees in my organization that I run. She said that she will talk to an imaginary person. So she'll just talk to the mirror or talk to the wall. All those things, if you can work for you, please go ahead and do it. Because you're a human being, you forget things. As I said, it's 90% mental work. But try to practice remembrance. Try to practice remembering the things that you've learned. So it's not just reading and drafting. As you're practicing drafting, you're practicing remembering. Right. So yeah.
Thank you so much. The next question is, please, if you weren't really a library person, where did you read better? In your room?
Yeah, so I was reading in my room. At some point, I was reading in the reading room. They called it reading room in the hostel. So we had one place that was, cool and everything. Why I wasn't going to the library, one, it's too far. It was too far from my room. So I will now use strength that I will be using to read. I'll now use it to check from my room to the library. I wasn't in the mood for that. That was one. And then two, I don't read in quiet places. I don't like to sit down and read where it's too quiet. It should be a little bit of noise, just small noise somewhere. It makes me alert and it makes me read better. So where everything is dead silence, like a graveyard, no. I will sleep there. Even with tiredness from class, I would just sleep. So it was a personal thing. Yeah. I was reading in my room or the reading room downstairs.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. The next question. What's the externship period like? You've been mentioning teachings in externship.
Teachings. Saying teachings next. I don't know. Anyway, I can't remember mentioning teachings next, but anyway, let me just say what I was saying about extension. So extension period is like I think 3 months, 3 months or 2 months, 3 months ish. I think so. So yeah, I have to drop off by 5 minutes to 8. So just if you can combine questions for me. I have another speaking engagement at 8. So just try to combine. Anyway, in answer your question, that's what extension period looks like. You have to extend with the court, you have to extend with the law firm. So the court one now, you'll be going to court every day that the court is sitting. What I used to do is I'll be reading from home. I did not have a driver. Let me bust it over. I did not have a driver. I was entering bus and keke to go to my court. I'll be reading as far as I had a mental idea of how many minutes it take me to reach the court. I'm reading through it. I had my timetable, so I had to. If I was going to read a particular topic that day, I must finish it that day. So while the court is sitting, I'll be reading too. And thankfully, I can read in a slightly noisy place. So yes, if you cannot read a slightly noisy place, there are people like my friends who also graduated summa cum laude, and they don't read in noisy places. So they will go home, they'll create time and read, and they'll be sleeping in courts. Let them be abusing you in court. But when the case is sweet, you will not sleep. It's all these motions and everything, which you, by the way, you should be learning, you should be alert and be watching those things. But there's some days that you just bone everything and just sleep your sleep, or you read your read or something. When they're doing examination of maybe any witness, I don't read at that time. I'll just close the book because it's interesting to watch and it helps you write your civil litigation exam and criminal litigation exam better. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, that's what I have to say about extension period.
Thank you so much, ma'am,
speed
for
up the
that
questions
detailed
because I have
response.
to drop off
Yes.
soon.
The next question is, please, how do you make notes from classes? Is it by jotting down or recordings? And are all the law school classes very detailed?
Okay, yes, they are very detailed. Like I said, it's information overload at law school. But then jotting down in class was my own. I did not record because we're not allowed to record. I wasn't snapping slides because we're not allowed to snap slides. But guess what? Anybody that snaps slides, I will go and meet them and ask them for the slide so that I can, improve my notes. But I was really just doing my notes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, ma'am.
Okay, yes, I was just doing my notes from classes, yes. And then there's something called handbook. You can always use your handbook to improve your notes. So they'll give you handbooks. You can always use that to improve your notes. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, this person is asking, can I ask how one fits in law school? And I did not hear you talk about past questions. How do one get past questions?
Let me start from the second question. The past questions, you find them everywhere. They're everywhere. You don't even need to look for them. Once you get to your campus, you'll find past questions. You don't have to do any search for it. You'll find it. For the first question, I already spoke about it. I don't know. In case maybe I do not understand the question. What do you mean by this? Maybe drop the question with NMC and I'll respond later.
Okay, noted.
Yes.
This person is asking, please, can you submit a textbook, online material for all the courses, and how can it be gotten?
Let's proceed to the other.
Okay. The next question.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
The person is asking, please, is Condi submit a textbook and online material for all the courses, and how can it be gotten?
So it's a compilation of notes of the person. So what's it called? It's a pseudonym. Condi Smith is a pseudonym. somebody who actually walked through law school and compiled his notes and slightly or improved these notes and put it out there as a material. So that's another thing you will find, just like past questions, you will find on this link. You don't need to search for it. Once you go to your campus, you will find it.
Thank you so much, Ma. The last question, the person is asking,
did I use past questions?
Use past questions.
If you go through law school, I don't use past questions. You are planning to fail. So yes, I used past questions. Everybody use past questions. So when you get to your campus, look for past questions and start answering them.
Thank you so much, Ma. That would be all. We are really grateful. Please, can we send our reactions and let's tell Miss Ikana, thank you so much, Ma, in the chat box. And yes, please, she answered your question. This person talking about if they can run a business in law school. Yes, she answered your question. Very detailed. So you can get it from the recording on YouTube after we end this live. Thank you so much, Miss Ikana. We are really grateful to have you join us this evening.
You're welcome.
Okay, everybody's saying thank
Good night,
you, Ma.
everyone.
Good night, Ma. Thank you so much, Ma. So we are going to be posting the link to the WhatsApp group, just in case you are not on the WhatsApp group. We're going to be posting it now. My partner, Shalom, is going to be posting it on the chat box. And also for the mentorship that we talked about earlier, we are going to be posting a link to it right now. At the same time, we're posting a WhatsApp group chat. So you can join the wait list for this coming session of NLS Mindcheck Mentorship and kindly fill the form when you click on the link. I'm sending it. Okay, it has been sent already. So kindly click on the link to join the wait list. We've heard the different two speakers speak right now, and they mentioned the mentorship. It's very, very important. So thank you all so much for being here. And I'm sure we all got value, right?
Yes, we did.
Thank you so much, Shalom. So I think the link to the WhatsApp group, for those who are not on the WhatsApp group, has it been posted? If there are any more questions, please, you could just send it to the NMC platform. If you don't want to put it on the group chat, you can just send it to either I or Shalom directly. You can copy the link to the NMC mentorship waiting list. And I'm sending the link to the WhatsApp group now for those who may not be on the group. So after now, we will keep you all updated through the WhatsApp community on the events we have lined up very soon, because the presumed date for resumption is still 27th until otherwise mentioned. So we have some activities, some events lined up this month. So we'll keep you all updated. Let's do well to join the waiting list for the NMC mentorship program. Thank you all so much. Good night, everyone. You're all very welcome.